Hey there. Are you a little strange? Have a dark sense of interest that makes people feel uncomfortable? Don't worry, we're here for you. This is Unusual Insight,
the podcast where we invite you to join us as we voyage down a different rabbit hole each week.
My name is Jesse.
I'm Ashley.
And this week we are talking about haunted/cursed movie sites.
Yeah, I feel like cursed applies more to mine.
Yeah, at first, when I first thought of this episode, I was like, oh, haunted movie sites. But looking more into it, I'm like, it's more like cursed movie sites, cursed people on the movies.
Just like a general, negative energy that tends to follow those involved in certain movies.
Yeah.
Is what I found.
General bad fucking luck or something,
Something,
Yeah. Well, anyway, I want to start off by, first of all, saying thank you to everybody that has been supporting us, listening, following, calling us or emailing us. Just everyone that's been doing all that. We have some listeners in California and Washington and Massachusetts. It's really cool.
And random states labeled other.
All the states that basically are on the outer edge of the country. None in the middle yet, but we'll get you.
Yeah. Hook ya.
We're coming.
Da, 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 da.
All right, this is getting a little uncomfortable. No, okay, so yeah, today we are going to go over some of the haunted/cursed movies. I mean, we're going to hit some of the classics, but before doing so, I am going to say, if you like this episode, I have to say it, of course, it's coming. Rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. And other than that, I guess we'll start off with a little bit of news, a little bit of starting topics. I don't really have much to talk about this week. I feel like everything's been taken over by the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere.
We're going to try to steer clear of politics on this show.
So what, do you want to start off with your I know you said you had an app you wanted to talk about, right?
Well, it's not actually an app. It's a website thing.
And by the way, we're not sponsored by any of these places. We are just
we're just
talking about them.
This is interesting, so we'll talk about it. So, yeah, I guess this has actually been around since 2014. But I just stumbled upon it in my Facebook feed, where I stumble upon most things because that's my life. But it's this website called OMG Yes. Have you heard of it?
Nope.
It is basically, it's not a subscription, but it's a one-time buy for their first series of 62 videos or something that are all about women's pleasure. And it's a tutorial, but not in an erotic way.
It sounds an erotic
thing.
I
guess it could be, because there are actual interactive videos where you can supposedly touch part of the screen to explore the vagina.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the sound of this. This is weird. This is strange.
Okay, so it's all about basically taking the taboo away from female orgasms. And
is there a taboo about that?
Yeah. All throughout, it's been a big thing. And I feel even women themselves have a hard time expressing what they want. They tend to always be more focused on pleasing, in a heterosexual relationship, their male partner. And, they might not have explored themselves enough to know what they really want or what works. And I feel a lot of times foreplay can be kind of skipped over or sort of expedited, and it becomes this 4-minute thing. And if you're not wet and ready to go, then, or you yourself feel guilty, oh, it's taking too long and I'm not into it, but I should be. And so you just end up doing something to them because it's easier than the pressure of feeling you have to be ready when you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it's all about that. And it's it's for partners and it's for personal use. But it's supposedly, I haven't looked at it because I haven't bought the thing, but I'm curious who else has, since it's been around for 4 years. But it's supposedly very tastefully done and very informative. And I don't know. I guess Emma Watson's a huge advocate, which she's a badass and about all things feminine. And I don't know. But there's like a lot of reviews from really like reputable sources, and
I mean, that
I just found it intriguing when I was scrolling. I was like, how's this a thing I didn't know about?
that's pretty cool, you know? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a stigma around the female body in general.
Right.
Maybe I guess I just haven't been that aware of it. Like, you know, I know the whole free the nipple thing and, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, I wasn't aware of this one. So, I mean, that is cool that it's there for people that need it, you know?
Yeah. I think it's cool.
No, that is cool. My news went in a completely different direction than yours. I wanted to talk about that Native American guy who was being harassed by the young kids wearing the Make America Great Again hats in Washington, D.C. Have you seen that?
Sort of. Like, I saw it, but I didn't click on it because I'm clicking on sex-related articles instead.
It makes me so mad. So this Native American guy, he was there for some Native American thing. I don't know. And he was actually a Vietnam War veteran. You know, he fought for this country. And he ended up being surrounded by a bunch of young kids wearing Make America Great Again hats. They surrounded him, were trying to intimidate him. They were screaming, "This is why we need to build the wall, blah, blah, blah."
He's a fucking Native American.
To this Native American man who was a Vietnam War vet.
Why are people so fucking ignorant? It's infuriating.
And, you know, and if you see the video, the stop screen of the video or whatever is the main kid who's in his face, just like smirking and really just like right in his face. And when I see that, I want to punch that kid right in the face. But
sounds like he fucking deserves it.
You can't say that. He's a kid, you know?
Oh, like a little kid?
He's like a teenager, like a young... Oops, I hit the mic. Sorry about that, guys. No, he's probably like 15 years old. They're from a Catholic school in Kentucky. They went to Washington, D.C. for an anti-abortion rally, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to feel this way about kids, because they are kids. But at the same time, I'm like, these kids are going to be adults soon, and they're going to be voting, and that's what we're dealing with, and that sucks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That made me really mad. The Native American guy was doing like I said, a dance with the drum and doing a ritual.
Probably, like a really beautiful ceremonial.
No, it was really nice, and they just surrounded him and were making fun of him, and taunting, and so it was terrible, and I hated it, and I hated seeing that video. And
so, how was it handled ultimately?
I mean, the Native American people handled it very well. And I don't know exactly what happened after the video cut off. I'm sure at some point someone came and kind of broke it up or whatever. But the Native American guy did not let them phase him, which I can understand. He's Native American. I mean, they've been through hell and back. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not getting phased by some 15-year-old wearing a fucking red hat, you know. But yeah, so that really made me mad. If you have any feelings about that, or if you know anything about the OMG Yes that Ashley was talking about, and you use that app or
have opinions
on anything, let us know at unusualinsightpodcast@gmail.com. Other than that, I think we should get into our main story. So I'm going to go over the Poltergeist. Ashley is going over
The Exorcist.
And we've realized that we both researched The Omen, so together we're going to be going over that. But before we do that, I had to hit Rosemary's Baby just as an honorable mention, because that is the classic movie. I feel like that started off all these other movies.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that one came out, Rosemary's Baby came out in 1968, and there were maybe not as many weird things as some of the other movies that I've researched, but still quite a couple of weird things. I'm going to start off with what I think is the weirdest, which is the director of the movie was Roman Polanski. He had I'm not sure if it was his wife or his girlfriend.
Wife is what I read.
Okay, so he had a pregnant wife. Her name was Sharon Tate. If any of these names sound familiar to you, it's probably because she was murdered by the Manson family. She was in that house where the Manson family came and murdered, I think, 4 people.
Yeah, it was her and 3 of her friends.
Yeah, her and 3 of her friends. She was stabbed 19 times.
I didn't read that number.
Yeah, she was
That's
stabbed
crazy.
19 times, like in the stomach too. Terrible, because
Oh God.
she's pregnant.
Ugh.
So after that happens, though, Roman Polanski falls into a tailspin. He's doing drugs. He's drinking every night. I guess he was doing photography, but he started doing photography of this 13-year-old girl. I bet you can already tell where this is going. She comes in for her second photo shoot. He gets her drunk. Mind you, she's 13 years old. He drugs her with Quaaludes and then begins to rape her multiple times.
Fuck.
That's crazy. Like, that's Roman Polanski. You know what I mean? I never knew that.
I did not know that.
He was arrested, was in jail for 42 days before somehow, I think he was out on bond or something.
Uh-huh.
After he got out of jail, he fled the country, and as of 2017, I was just reading an article from 2017, I can't find anywhere that he served more time than that.
That is so screwed up.
He basically drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl and got away with it. 42 days. He says, I served my time, blah, blah, blah. He literally served 42 days for that.
That is complete and utter bullshit.
So
I'm like furious right now.
Yeah, I don't know how far that goes in with the Rosemary's Baby. I should have looked up the date when she was stabbed. I know it was soon after, but anyway. Also, William Castle, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a film producer. He was admitted to the hospital for kidney failure shortly after the movie was released. And while he was in the hospital, he, freaking out, ended up screaming, Rosemary, for God's sake, drop the knife! And then, like, right afterwards, died of a heart attack.
Really?
In the hospital. Yeah, which he was in there for kidney failure. I'm not sure if that also affects the heart, but... So he screamed this weird thing from the movie and then died of a heart attack, like, minutes afterwards.
Well, and apparently he had been receiving, like, all of these threatening letters, some of which had a prediction of illness before he ended up going to the emergency room for the kidney failure and stuff. And also, apparently, he was yelling... or saying, rather, that the story of Rosemary's Baby was happening in life, that everyone was witches and casting their spell, and that he was one of the principal players. So I don't know if he just, like, went off the deep end.
I don't even know how to take that, really. I'm like,
I just have chills and feel uncomfortable.
That's super crazy.
Yeah.
Another crazy thing, though, Rosemary's apartment building, like in the movie, was where John Lennon was shot and killed.
I didn't know that.
He was shot and killed right in front of that apartment building.
This is like the 10th time I've had chills, and we've only been recording for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and supposedly
insane.
out there, like, people that live in that building, they say they see ghosts, and there's a lot of strange things that happen with, like, lights turning on and off, and just stuff not working, and things being moved. So that was a weird coincidence. The thing that I think is super weird as well is that the guy that produced the music for the movie, he was a 38-year-old named Christoph Kamita. Sorry, it's spelled a lot harder than it is to say. Well, he, shortly after the movie, fell off a cliff. While, like, supposedly he was roughhousing with somebody else. I don't know who roughhouses on a cliff.
Poor choices, people.
But, yeah, he fell off a cliff, suffering a cerebral hemorrhage, and went in a 4-month coma. He was admitted to the same hospital that Castle was admitted to. The guy that we were just talking about, William Castle, admitted to the same hospital as him. And then he ended up dying because of a brain hematoma. But the whole thing is weird because in the movie, one of Rosemary's friends dies in that way. He falls off a cliff and, like, dies. So that was kind of strange and eerily similar. So that's interesting. And this is not anything to do with really the movie being haunted or whatnot, but I did not know that Frank Sinatra and Mia Farrow were married. And he
I
actually
did know that.
He served her divorce papers while she was on set. He sent a lawyer to serve the divorce papers, like, while she was fucking filming.
That's
on
shitty.
Set. Super shitty, Frank. Come on, get it together, man.
Ugh.
So yeah, that was my honorable mention for Rosemary's Baby.
Nice.
We had to hit it, you know?
Yeah. No, it can't go unhit.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you want me to start off? No, you're going to start off with the movie, right?
Yeah, sure. Sure. All right. So, as we said, I was researching The Exorcist, which is one of the most acclaimed horror films of all time. And I feel like for its time, really one of the most terrifying. I mean, at this point, God, however many years later, like, it seems like people can't push the envelope enough with the scary movies. Like, it's just, they're constantly, like, trying to make them darker and creepier and just, like,
The Exorcist was
totally raw.
Groundbreaking for when it came out.
Yeah.
Like, I can ask my parents about it, and they still remember to this day seeing it in the theaters and how everyone was freaking out.
Yeah.
No, definitely groundbreaking.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay, well, that shows how, like, desensitized we've become as a society. But anyways, that's another show. So it was directed by William Friedkin, and it was adapted from the novel written by William Peter Blatty. As I'm sure most of us already know, the film shows a story of a young girl's demonic possession and her mother's desperation to get her daughter back from the clutches of evil. So while the characters were changed and the location of the true events were also changed from St. Louis to Washington, D.C., Blatty was able to interview Father William Bodern, the Jesuit pastor who performed the real-life exorcism that took place in 1949. And as a result, the book and then subsequently the movie were actually really closely based to the true story, is what I read.
But it was the true story. It was a young boy.
Right, yeah.
That was the only difference. And they call him Roland Doe, but that's obviously not his name. It's a pseudonym.
Okay.
For him. Yeah.
So, during the filming, there were a number of accidents that plagued those that were involved with production. And overall, it seems like the movie just really kind of like left some scars on the cast, crew, and even the audience at the movie theaters when they were watching it. There are at least 9 like deaths and tragic happenings that are directly related to the cast and crew. To name a few, there was a crew member and technician that both died during production, but I couldn't find of what, and what I did read is that it hadn't been reported. So I'm not sure there, but Max von Sydow? I'm not sure how to say his name. I should probably know that. But anyways, he played Father Merrin. He, as he touched down in New York to film his first scenes, his brother died unexpectedly. Linda Blair, who was the main character, her grandfather died, like in the first days of filming.
So Linda Blair was the little girl,
yeah,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Regan.
I think it's Regan. Is it pronounced Regan in the movie? God, I should have like rewatched the movie.
It's
probably.
Regan. Yeah.
Okay. So the assistant cameraman's wife had a baby that died.
Oh my God.
The man who refrigerated the set, which when I first read that, I was like, who refrigerates a set? But apparently that was how they got like all the breath that you could see in the movie. They actually kept the set refrigerated. So he died during the filming. The janitor who took care of the building was shot and killed. Irish actor Jack McGowran, who played Burke Dennings, died only 1 week after his character was killed by the demon in the movie. Father Damien Karas's mother, who was played by Vasiliki Maliaros, I think I'm saying that right, died after her participation with the film, but before the film was released. And then Jason Miller, who played Father Karras, I forget how they say it. We totally should have rewatched it. Whatever. Anyways, his young son Jordan was struck by a motorcyclist who appeared out of nowhere on an empty beach, and he almost died. Luckily, the boy did not die.
I thought he did die.
No, I read that he didn't.
Huh.
On a few sites.
Okay, so you're probably right. I didn't really look into The Exorcist very much, but it wasn't just his young son. This child, it was a toddler. It was a toddler. His son was basically a fucking baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he on the beach by himself, or was it?
No, I think they were like...
They were there, okay.
No, yeah, people don't just let their toddlers roam
well,
beach.
Sometimes toddlers, like, randomly,
toddle
wander.
Away.
Toddle, yeah. Just like, oh, what's over here? So, okay, we'll have to follow up and find out if he did or did not actually die. So then, also in New York, one of the carpenters actually accidentally cut off his thumb on the set, and one of the lighting technicians lost a toe. And then out of the 18-man crew that was sent to film in Iraq during part of this, Friedkin lost the services of 9 of them due to dysentery or sunstroke. So,
whoa.
All right, I mean, that's like
the whole cast.
Like a big list of just like crazy things. Linda Blair, main character that we're going to talk about, she ended up having a mental breakdown during the filming and attacked her on-screen mother, which you had actually, I think, told me about this before.
Did I? Because I don't remember that.
I think so. Maybe it was a conversation I had with someone else, but I feel like I just attribute anything weird that I know to you because you're always finding weird things and telling me about them. But anyway, so the scene where Regan throws her mother, Chris McNeil, who's played by Ellen Burstyn, across the bedroom is real. She has like had a complete mental breakdown and hits her in that scene for real with such force that it actually threw her across the room and resulted in a permanent spinal injury. And what? You look like you're ready to say something.
I am ready to say something. I'm going to let you
Are
finish.
you debunking what I'm saying?
I'm going to debunk a little bit of what you said.
Okay, because, well, what I read on multiple sites was that they actually used that scream in the movie because it was like so blood curdling and real. And yeah, I guess she like broke her coccyx when she flew across the room.
She did. So
now say what you're.
Right. She did break her coccyx. She broke that thing. She did have permanent spine injury. What you said about Regan, the girl in the movie, she did end up losing her mind and attacking the mother 2 separate occasions. So what happened was that the director of the movie really wanted to get a super good shot, and he kept redoing that shot over and over, and he kept telling the people that were pulling the harness, he was like, pull her harder, really pull her this time. And actually, the actress, what is her name?
Who? Linda Blair? Or
Ellen Burstyn, right?
Oh, yeah.
She ended up getting really mad and was like all pissed about it. But yeah, the director was like, really give it to her this time, guys. And so they pulled the fuck out of that harness. She goes flying, lands on her back. All the reaction in that scene is real. She really is screaming. She's really in that much pain because she broke her fucking back. So yeah.
Which is still crazy.
No, like, it's still crazy.
Whether the director was, feeling called to push them to do something that was beyond, safe regulation or whatever, like to pull someone with that much damn force.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I'm always the skeptic. You know that about me. I'm always like, oh, well, it could have been this thing or that thing. Like, I try to find reasons. But I don't know. Like, there's just such a laundry list of crazy stuff that happens around this movie that I'm like, okay, maybe there is something else at play here.
Well, it's just like, how many things is it before you're like, this can't be all a coincidence?
Right. So beyond that, there was a mysterious fire that destroyed the set while no cast or crew members were around. It caused a 6-week delay in production. It occurred at like 2:30 in the morning on a Sunday when supposedly a pigeon flew into a circuit box. Which I'm like, Does that happen? I feel like that doesn't happen. I've never heard of that happening. But anyways, the crazy part is that the one room left completely untouched by this fire, like the whole house, the whole set was destroyed. But Linda Blair's bedroom, where the exorcism is taking place in the movie, wasn't touched. You're smiling again like you're about to say something.
It's just crazy. I feel like at that point I'd be like, we have to burn this room down. There's something wrong with it.
No, for real, right? So after the incident, the cast was so disturbed and convinced that that this was the work of demons that they wanted to have an actual exorcism performed.
Mm-hmm.
So Father Thomas Birmingham from the Jesuit community at Fordham University, who had been hired as a technical advisor for the film, he was unable to perform an actual exorcism on the set, but he did give a solemn blessing and a ceremony that was held for everyone on set. And amazingly, after that, nothing else happened. However, right after that, again, coincidence or not, who knows, there was a fire in the Jesuit residence in Georgetown.
What's that residence? But
I guess I don't know if it's just where like there's like a community of Jesuits that are living or what. But
Okay.
so they were, he was like on set somewhere else. I just hit my mic too. And performed this blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then like simultaneously timelines linked up that this fire, like there was nothing else happening where he was, but then he was a Jesuit.
Yeah, and then a random fire started.
This Jesuit community, I'm not sure if that's where he was maybe from or not, but anyways,
interesting.
I thought that was like, I have chills even talking about it. And so then like while nothing else tragic occurred on the set beyond the crazy amount of things I just listed, there were some strange events and odd coincidences that were reported during the post-production, like strange images and visions that showed up on the film that were never planned. There were double exposures in the little girl's face at the end of one reel that are like unbelievable.
Ooh, I want to see those pictures.
I know. And then one rumor is that actual demonic voices recorded during an exorcism were mixed into the soundtrack. And Friedkin did admit that he was in possession of a cassette recording of an actual exorcism performed in Rome. It's in Italian, and it involves the exorcism of a 14-year-old boy, which is interesting because the true story is actually based on, I think, a 14-year-old boy. Was he younger?
I never saw an age on him, but I just
feel
read
like
young
I read
boy.
that. But maybe I'm just thinking because Linda Blair was 14. But anyways, so yeah, he got the tape through the Jesuit Provincial of New York, and on the tape are sounds produced by this young man that was supposedly possessed. So he has never like confirmed or denied using it, but he's admitted to having it, and like I guess based on the recording, like it doesn't sound like something that a human could produce.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also know that they used for like at the end when the demon is leaving her, they used pig squeals and changed the sounds of like pig squeals to make that sound.
Modified them.
Yeah, and also the woman that played the voice of Regan when she was under possession. I forgot what her name was, but basically I read something that said she basically smoked a whole bunch of cigarettes and like trained her voice to be super raspy.
And apparently she had been like sober up until that point and like fell out of sobriety specifically for the role, but was like kind of under the guidance and counsel of a priest that was on set like through that, I guess, to kind of, aid in her maybe not falling like completely off the wagon. I don't know.
Super strange.
So anyways, that was kind of what happened with the cast and crew. The film opened December 26th of 1973 to massive crowds. And within weeks of the first public screenings, stories started to make the rounds that audience members were fainting and vomiting in theaters. One man actually broke his jaw on the seat in front of him from fainting.
Oh my god!
Seeing this movie,
so
like,
intense,
so extra, right? Like,
yes.
How do you explain that injury? There were also reports of like disturbing nightmares and reportedly a number of
no shit.
Yeah, seriously. But I don't know. I feel like I'm such a baby when it comes to scary things. Like, you know how I'm like, if we watch something scary, then I need to watch like Chopped or something super like neutral
like,
afterwards.
Put on Iron Chef, please.
Yeah. So a number of theater ushers had to be placed under doctor's care and even quit their jobs after experiencing successive showings of the movie. There were, I guess, numerous cities that were kind of like that were checked after the Exorcist had run for several weeks. And reporters found that like every major hospital had been forced to deal with patients who had severe cases of vomiting and hallucinations. And then like there's also reports of people being carried out of theaters on stretchers. And I mean, it's just like over the top. I mean, I certainly haven't experienced anything like that in my 31 years of people being like carried out of the theater.
People had never seen anything like that. You know? It was the first of its kind. And I'm just gonna touch on a little bit of what you're saying. Actually, theaters started providing barf bags for people because there were so many people vomiting in theaters. So they would provide barf bags to the people coming to see that movie. And also they had ambulances waiting in front of the movie theaters a lot of the times because people were fainting so often.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think it was like the whole pea soup oatmeal combo? Like people just like saw the puke and like started puking themselves?
I just think nobody had ever seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
And I think it really affected people. I personally can't watch The Exorcist because it is so long. I have to break it up.
It
is what, it's like a 3.5 hour, 4 hour
Something.
movie or something like that?
It's yeah.
Anyway,
It was
sorry.
really long. No, but yeah, I mean, basically, like there were death threats being sent to Blair, who was, like I said, only 14 at the time, because they believed that the film glorified Satan. So, I mean, for whatever reason, I mean, I don't know. I guess like, and it's so easy to offend people. You know what I mean? Especially when they think that you are, somehow glorifying or romanticizing or capitalizing off
glorifying the devil
I
at
don't
all.
think it is either. I think it's making you like be fucking scared of the devil. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't want any part of that. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. That was most of what I had on it. Do you have anything else?
A little extra. During the premiere of the movie in Rome, the movie theater's on one side of the road. There's a church on the other side. It has a 400-year-old cross on top of the church. During the premiere of the movie, when everyone's waiting outside to get in, that cross that's on the church across the street from the movie theater got struck by lightning.
I did read that.
And fell into the plaza. So that was fucking crazy. Also, I just have one extra thing on the movie. There was a guy in the movie. His name was Paul Bateson. And he was an x-ray technician in the movie. He sends Regan into the brain scanning machine. He actually is an x-ray technician. And he was found guilty for murder of the film critic Addison Verrill. He stabbed him in the heart. So that's intense.
Cold.
He was suspected of killing at least 6 other men, disposing their bodies in plastic bags that were found washed up on the Hudson River. One man he killed by crushing his skull with a metal skillet.
Damn.
I know. And he ended up confessing to all the killings because he said, yeah, I killed 7 people. I don't know who they all are, but I killed 7 people. And they suspected him of killing 6 other people plus the one they knew. So, yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I mean, I'm sure he's in prison. But that's pretty crazy. I don't know if that falls into the curse of the movie, but...
Well, it's just yet another, like, dark, negative thing that's associated with it. You know what I mean? So, did you was he performing these killings, like, while people were being x-rayed by him? Or was it just, like, random?
I don't know. It was not when he was x-raying people.
Okay.
Because there would be no way he could get away with that in a hospital while x-raying people to kill people.
That's true. Yeah, I hadn't really thought that through.
They sign in and
leave it to
cameras.
The professionals to figure out how to murder people.
No, I want to, after we finish this podcast, this episode this week, I want to go through and like watch all these movies again. Maybe The Exorcist, we can skip like some of the beginning part when they're in the desert.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing about The Exorcist that you didn't hit. Sorry, last thing. Is that they use a lot of audio subliminal messaging to scare us, like, instinctually, like the sounds of bees swarming, angry bees swarming, or they use a lot of animals growling deeply in the background, and that instinctively makes us scared. So they're playing that just in the background of the movie.
That could be, like, partially responsible for the, like, severe reaction of the audience.
Yeah, definitely, because we have that bred into us to be scared of these sounds, you know? So they actually use that, and they're one of the first movies to ever do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've told you about that one before.
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me about that.
All right, well, I guess we will go on to the Poltergeist.
Yeah, I'm super excited because
Let me take a sip of water first.
Yes. Wet your whistle. I have like a tiny bit on this, but I'm sure you have everything I have plus a lot more. So I'm super intrigued to hear all about it.
Okay, well, here we go. The Poltergeist, there's 3 movies. First one came out in 1982, second one in 1986, third one in 1988. Some people have an extreme version of The Curse of the Poltergeist that says everyone that worked in this movie is dead. It's not true. Not everybody's dead.
Yeah, I didn't read that. I feel like that would have been the first thing I found.
So a lot of people think that the curse of the poltergeist started from the scene of the flooded pool. Do you know the scene I'm talking about? The mother, her name is Diane. She's played by JoBeth Williams. She is in the backyard and she falls down in this mud and falls into the pool, and then there's dead bodies everywhere and she's screaming and blah, blah, blah. So people think that's where the curse started, because all of those dead bodies were real dead bodies.
I know.
They were not props. Also, the cast did not know this until later, midway through filming that scene, which took days to film, actually.
I would fight somebody. I would fight everybody. I would be livid.
It's just, and if you watch that scene, because I actually went back after doing this research and I watched that scene, there's like 6 or 7 dead bodies.
Where are they just getting like
rando
bodies?
Well, okay, so they said that getting these corpses were cheaper than making fake skeletons out of plastic. And I'm like, first of all, where do you buy a dead corpse? How do you go about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where do you Google that? Dead corpses for my movie? Like, I don't know. This is just crazy. Second of all, how could a dead body be cheaper? I just don't get it.
Yeah.
That's intense.
That's super crazy.
So yeah, and that scene, like I said, it took 4 or 5 days to finish. So every day, JoBeth Williams, she was rolling around in the mud, getting all gross, rainy, with dead bodies.
Is that
for
even
4
like
or 5 days?
Sanitary?
I mean, it was the 80s. You know, I don't think they were worried
Nothing
about
was
it.
sanitary. But no, I'm like, were they like preserved bodies? Had they been like preserved with formaldehyde or something?
I mean,
or are
if
they
you
just
look
like
at the bodies
like
in the
5
movie,
days? I feel like a body is not fresh for long.
If you look at the bodies in the movie, I mean, they weren't preserved because they're not like they're skeleton-y and gross looking, and they messed with someone's burial basically and dressed up these real dead bodies because
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, in the movie, in that scene, like the bodies are dressed up and whatever, but they're like skeletons and gross.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm gonna need an
that's
episode
why-
of Chopped after this radio show.
That's why people think that the curse happened. That's where they're like, it came because you guys fucking did this,
Yeah.
So going on though, Heather O'Rourke, fuck. Heather played Carol Ann, the little girl.
Uh-huh.
They're here. Okay.
Oh God.
She died actually less than a year after the 3rd movie was released, and it's pretty crazy. Her parents thought she had the flu, and so she went to the hospital with flu-like symptoms. They were doing some tests, and she got to the hospital, goes right into cardiac arrest. Which is crazy. I mean, she was really young, you know?
I mean, I don't know how old she was by the end of the 3rd movie,
But she still wasn't that old.
yeah, no.
Well, she goes into cardiac arrest. They, get her heart started back up, and they start doing some tests. Find out that she has something called septic shock, which I'd never even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But basically what happens is your bowels are obstructed, toxins are set loose, and they make their way through the bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super deadly if you don't find it in time. And she died. So they found it. They were like, okay, we're going to do this. She died on the operating table. It's really sad. And the weird thing about this disease is that it's actually rare. Not a lot of people have it. I looked into the disease or affect or whatever you want to call it. And it usually only affects people age 40 and up, like a lot more. Younger people don't get as affected. And the symptoms will include low blood pressure, pale, cool arms and legs, chills, difficulty breathing, decreased urine output, mental confusion, disorientation may also develop. And if you look at those things, chills and confusion and
Sounds
pale,
like the flu.
You would, as a parent, you could think, oh my god, my child has a cold, or they have the flu, or whatever. So
you don't jump to that worst case scenario.
yeah, so that really sucked, and I'm sure they're not seeing her urine output to know that it's decreased,
Right.
So that sucked. And what also sucks is that if it's found, it can be resolved within a few days to a few weeks. Like
antibiotics or
yeah,
something.
it can take 2 days and be gone. So it just sucks that they didn't find it. The parents say, though, that she died after the third movie was done filming. The director says that that's not true, that she died during the third movie, and they actually had to change a lot of the script after she died. So there's 2 different reports coming
I wonder
from
if
there
the director is playing up the story to
kind of push the...
get that buzz.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. I feel like I would be more inclined to believe the parents. But either way, it's still really sad and tragic.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So that's the first death I've talked about in the Poltergeist. Second death, her name is Dominique Dune. She was 22. She played the older daughter.
Okay.
Dana, I believe her name is.
Uh-huh.
And she died in 1982, right after the first movie was released, because the first movie was released in 1982. And her death is fucked up. Basically, her ex-boyfriend, his name is John Thomas Sweeney, he killed her. He strangled her outside of her apartment, put her in a coma. She was in a coma for 5 days, being on life support. And I guess finally they took her off of life support, and she was just non-responsive. And it sucks because she was dating this guy. She broke up with him because he was abusive. He moved out, wasn't allowed to be there anymore, blah, blah, blah. Came back to try to talk to her, be like, hey, let's do this. And she said, no, we're not doing it again. So he strangled her to death, which sucks. She's trying to change and do better and get the fuck out.
Not fall back on old destructive patterns.
And it's thank God she left him, but fuck. Look at what happened. This sucks. There's no winning for her. It sucked. But yeah, he supposedly had strangled her for 4 to 6 minutes. And like I said, he left her outside of the house in her driveway. She didn't even let him in the house when he came to talk to her. So this makes me mad. He was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced in November 1983 to 6.5 years. 6.5 years.
How are people devaluing human life so
and why
drastically?
Did he get manslaughter? I'm sorry, he murdered her. I guess because it wasn't premeditated or whatever. I don't give a fuck. You killed her. So yeah, he was sentenced 6.5 years for killing his girlfriend, but was released in 1986 after serving 3 years and 8 months because of good behavior.
So is there any follow-up? I mean, has this guy managed to somehow be a productive part of society, or is he a douchebag?
I don't know. He hasn't come up, you know, again, but 3 years. You killed someone. That shit makes me so mad. Continuing. Oliver Robbins, he played the middle child named Robbie in the movie, little boy. And I think you know about this one. There was a mechanical clown in the movie. And in the scene, the clown, its arm extends and it grabs Robbie by the neck and it pulls him down, pulls him under the bed. So in that scene, though, the mechanical clown malfunctions and it actually ends up choking him. And I saw a couple of different reports. One of them said that as soon as it started happening, Steven Spielberg jumped up and grabbed him out of it and saved him. That was one report. I did see another report, and I saw both of these multiple places, so I'm like, oh, fuck. But I did see another report that said everyone thought it was part of the scene and that they didn't know anything was going wrong until he started turning a little blue and he was really fighting it because they just thought, hey, this is what the scene's supposed to be. He's
just doing a really good job acting.
Yeah, they're wow, this kid's a prodigy. He's gonna be a hit.
Yeah, I read that he did nearly die from it, so that he was rescued by Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's just a joined of those two stories.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably what you said, where they didn't recognize that it was a malfunction until it was already a couple minutes into a scene and he's turning blue.
Yeah, I mean that shit's that's crazy. So we got Julian Beck, who plays the evil spirit Kane in Poltergeist 2. He died of stomach cancer before the movie was released. He was battling cancer for 18 months though, so I feel that one put it up to curse, put it up to it was just what was happening.
Right.
In 2009, actor Lou Perryman, who played a construction worker in the movie, just like, background guy, he got axed to death by an ex-convict. That's fucking weird.
People just axing people.
People just dying left and right in all these damn movies. I don't want to be in any movies. Don't put me in any movies. No, thank you. The guy that killed him, his name was Seth Christopher Tatum. He was a 36-year-old man. He goes up to the cops. He's in a car, and he's like, by the way, that's a stolen car, and I'm pretty sure I killed the guy that I stole it from. Like, okay. So he had just been released, too, from prison right before he killed this actor for aggravated robbery. And he had gone off his medication, started drinking. Now he's life in prison. Now he's done for.
Crazy.
All right, we got Will Sampson, who played the medicine man, Taylor, in the Poltergeist. He is actually a real-life shaman. And after finding out that the skeletons were real in the movie, he performed an exorcism on the set to rid the site of the spirits and all that stuff. And after he did that, supposedly the cast said they felt a lot better and they didn't feel this dark energy. But, that could be, what's it called? The fake effect?
Placebo.
Yeah, placebo effect. He died 2 years later after the movie came out. He received a heart-lung transplant 6 weeks earlier before his death.
Mm.
And his cause of death, though, which is kind of weird, was severe preoperative malnutrition and post-operative kidney failure and a fungal infection. So I understand, the kidney failure after having, this surgery, but the preoperative malnutrition, that's kind of weird.
Well, it seems unlikely that they would, I don't know what the regulation would have been, but I know someone who's undergone a lung transplant, and they will not do a transplant unless you are in optimum peak health, because the chances of rejection, infection and all of these things are already so high. I just can't imagine that if you were malnourished, that they would just do the surgery.
Again, it was the 80s, different time. The 80s were a rough one. So this is really cool. This guy named Richard Lawson, he played Ryan in the Poltergeist.
Okay.
He was on a plane. It was coming out of LaGuardia, total of 51 people on board, and the plane fucking crashes while he's on board. 27 out of the 51 people died on that plane crash. This is why I have problems with planes. This is why people are like, did you know that planes are so much more safe than driving in a car? And I'm like, I don't fucking care. If I'm in a car, I can maneuver myself out of an accident. I feel like I have some control. Totally. If someone's coming head on, I can be like, oh my God, there's a car coming head on. If I'm in an airplane that's going down, I just can't even
grab your rosary, baby.
Woo! Anyway. In Poltergeist 3, the garage that was used for filming, there was a scene where they poured, there was ice all over cars and blah, blah, blah. So the garage that was used for that caught fire after the fake plastic ice poured onto one of the prop cars, and it ignited, hurting 3 of the crew members. There was a guy, his name was James Caan. He wrote the novelization of the Poltergeist. And Caan reported that right after writing the line in the novel, lightning streaked the sky, a freak lightning bolt struck his building. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know if I believe this second part of that. Supposedly, the lightning strike caused the face of his air conditioner to shoot off and hit him in the back. I'm like, all right, dude, that's a little excessive.
I have personally from a lightning surge going through my power system, the face of my Wi-Fi router has shot off.
Really?
So faces of things do shoot off.
I didn't know that actually happened.
Yeah, no, it actually does. So whether or not it hit him in the back, I don't know, but it's totally within the realm of possibility that.
And just imagine writing that line lightning strikes, and then just lightning strikes your fucking house.
Yeah, no, I have super chills right now.
That'd be crazy. So, The Poltergeist had a reboot in 2015. I didn't see it. Did anybody see it? I don't know.
No.
I feel like they've just been rebooting old movies like crazy, you know?
Gotta get some new material, guys.
I know. So, again, I don't know if I believe this because it's from the reboot and there's already this curse. I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah.
There's already this curse that everyone knows about. And the director of this movie said, his name's Gil Keenan, he made the movie because he was looking for the curse. Which puts me on edge already. I'm like, I don't trust you, guy.
Yeah, like if you're already like looking for it, digging for it, what are you expecting? What are you gonna kind of like make up in your own mind or exaggerate?
Yeah. So what I saw though was that there was equipment malfunctions.
Mm-hmm.
And the house that he stayed in while filming was supposedly haunted by a female figure. She wore a black dress.
Ew.
And this figure would follow him to and from set, supposedly, but didn't follow him home to LA. That's good. But when he was leaving the house and the owners of the house came up to him and asked him about it afterwards, they're like, have you also seen the woman?
Ooh.
Again, though, this is reported from him, so
yeah, like
I don't know if I trust it. But if it's true, that's fucking cool. Where's the house? You know?
Yeah.
And
you can go. I'll stay home. You can tell me all about it if you survive.
With me. We're gonna have all the equipment and the cameras, and
is that what's next for us?
That would be awesome. All right, next episode is gonna be a live episode from a haunted house. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
And the last thing that I have on the poltergeist were that there was these two fans that bought the doll that the little girl in the movie uses. I think it's like a bunny or something. It's a little stuffed bunny. And the two fans bought the doll, and they started experiencing some troubling events.
Oh.
So their troubling events, though, were multiple family members experienced traumatic accidents. They went through financial woes and marital trouble. And
okay,
I'm like,
financial woes, marital trouble.
That's just life.
Welcome
buddy.
to life.
Yeah, jeez. But they had someone come and cleanse the house because at one point during the house cleanse, the husband became dizzy and nearly fell.
Nearly.
He didn't fall, but he nearly did. And now they keep the doll in a blessed glass case where it can no longer do harm to people. I say bullshit on that one.
I say that if there were actually a doll that I was actually convinced was cursed, I would actually throw it in the goddamn trash can because I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. I think
they knew about the curse and were trying to make some money on it, maybe be on a little show about cursed objects, you know.
Right.
That type of thing.
Get some notoriety.
Yeah, so as you can see, though, in the Poltergeist, there were a lot of weird things that happened, and I think the strangest thing is those dead bodies. Who uses real dead bodies?
That's not
wrong.
Okay.
Don't do it.
And these people didn't know. Like, that's so
they didn't know until they were filming the scene, basically.
Oh, God.
And then they say that her in that water screaming and being all grossed out by the dead bodies, like, she really was, because she found out while filming.
Do it. Like, respect, girl, because
she's getting paid a lot of money.
I don't care how much money you're paying me. Like, I just couldn't.
No, thank you.
All right,
last one.
You ready for this?
I'm ready. This is The Omen. Dun, dun, dun. I might cut that out if it sounds stupid.
I don't know if it'll pick up the whisper.
It picks up whispers. Psst, 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 psst. All right, that's definitely getting cut out. Anyway, do you want to start on The Omen? Omen came out in 1976.
Did it? Because I didn't write that down. Okay, so The Omen, again, horror classic, directed by Richard Donner.
Again, another one that's been rebooted.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen the reboot.
I haven't either. I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
Okay. So it tells the story of a young child, Damien Thorne, played by Harvey Spencer Stevens, who was adopted at birth by a wealthy family. And soon after, the husband and wife are surrounded by ominous deaths, unaware that their child is the Antichrist. Would you say that's a fair summation of the film?
That is a fair summation of the film.
Okay. So many mysterious incidents that occurred. Basically, it said that the film as a whole is cursed. So again, another case of like not really specifically a haunted set, but just crazy, dark, fucked up shit happening.
Yeah, well, and the producer, his name is Mace Newfield. Well, after they started producing the movie, he immediately began wearing a cross, and he was quoted as saying, "The devil was on set, and he did not want us to make this movie."
Yeah, I have that written down as well. He was like super afraid. So, right off the bat, several weeks before they even started filming, the son of Gregory Peck committed suicide by shooting himself in the head for an unknown reason, is what I found. Did you?
Yeah,
get
no,
anything more
he
on
didn't
that?
leave any note or anything. They
It's
didn't
like
know why.
so sad.
And he went and fucking did the movie, and was just like, damn, that's
I know.
hard, man.
I guess it's like the whole show must
And in
go
the
on
movie,
thing.
he's supposed to have, he has this son in the movie. That's
Yeah.
got to be so tough.
Well, I mean, I guess you could really kind of use that emotion to kind of drive your character, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. That sucks.
Well, yeah, I'll say, after Gregory Peck's son committed suicide, basically, a couple weeks later, Gregory Peck was on a plane going to film the movie, and his plane got struck by lightning.
Interesting, because also, where is it in my notes? Screenwriter David Seltzer's plane was struck by lightning, and it was less than 8 hours apart
Yes.
from the other one.
Yep.
And there was another plane that apparently Gregory Peck had canceled his reservation for, and it happened to crash and kill everyone on board.
Well, that plane was actually...
Was that the private plane?
It was a private plane that they got for doing aerial scenes. They were going to do
Okay.
some overshot aerial scenes, and at last minute, they switched to a different plane company.
Uh-huh.
And so there was actually a bunch of Chinese businessmen on that plane, and yes, that plane went down, killing everybody on board.
Okay.
Do you see why I'm not taking any planes anywhere?
Yeah. Well, so is that then also the one? There was a private plane that was that the crew hired to transport props and set pieces.
Yeah, that's the same.
That's the same one.
Same
Okay.
plane. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, no planes for us.
No planes. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. On the first day of filming, there were some crew members that got into a head-on car crash, and luckily, no one was harmed in that incident. But there was another car accident, which I think we should save for like maybe last.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, if you can say that there's a good fun, but yeah.
So the person that conceived the idea for the movie, his name was Robert Munger, and he was actually quoted before they even started making this movie, saying that the devil's greatest single weapon is to be invisible, and you're going to take off his cloak of invisibility to millions of people. So he was already really religious and very like, we're doing this thing, bad things are going to happen. And sure enough, bad things did happen. All of the stuff with the planes, you already know how I feel about that. There was also a lot of weird stuff with animals.
Yes.
Which I'm like, animals, I think they have some otherworldliness, some understanding. So there's a scene where these Rottweiler dogs, they're like devil dogs. They're supposed to attack Peck in the scene. And, of course, it's not Peck. There's a trained stuntman.
Right.
The dogs do go to attack the stuntman, but they're attacking him for real, to the point where the handler can't call them off. He's trying, they're not listening, and he's tearing through the padding. Supposedly he almost killed the stuntman.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you read about this one, but there was a baboon scene in the movie that takes place at some safari park somewhere.
Yes.
And there was an animal handler that was attacked and reportedly eaten alive by a lion the day after the crew finished filming the scene.
I read that it was a tiger.
Huh.
Well, yeah, no, this guy, his name was Sidney Bamford, and he was actually an animal expert. And he was the wrangler and trainer for the baboon scene.
Okay.
And he didn't lock up right, I guess, which I'm like, that's weird. You're an animal expert. You're dealing with giant cats.
Right.
So one of the cats got out and, attacked him and mauled him and basically fucking ate him. But I just think, doesn't he feed them? Don't they know him? Are they gonna?
Yeah.
Isn't he an expert in handling them? Not to
Right.
say that things can't happen. I mean, they do,
No,
obviously.
things totally do. But I, like you said, I mean, I think that animals still, for the most part, develop a relationship with the
Mhm.
people, that they have come to rely on for their basic needs. And also, I totally believe that animals kind of have that sixth sense about them and are super aware of things that even, or that definitely we aren't aware of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the
Like
crazy
the birds
thing,
in
though,
Bird Box.
oh my god. The crazy thing about that is that it happened a day after the baboon scene. He died and was
Yeah, it
mauled
was
the
the
day after
day
that
after.
scene was
Yeah.
done. That's fucking nuts. No planes, no animals. Thank you.
Well, except for our sweet little dog.
Of course. Also, there was a stuntman who was supposed to fall from a building in one of the scenes, and he was up there getting ready to jump. There's the big poofy thing on the bottom
Mhm.
they fall on, and all of a sudden, and everyone says this from the bottom, he starts like flailing and falls off the roof. And they're like,
Yeah.
holy shit. So he falls incorrectly, because at that height, you fall incorrectly, you get hurt. And he does get hurt. He doesn't die or anything. But later, when asked about it, he was like, I was pushed up there. Something pushed me.
By an unseen force, is what he
Ugh.
said.
See, now I'm getting goosebumps.
I have them all over it.
I wanna watch
just
this
shaved
movie.
my legs. And you know how, like, when you just shave, like, and you get chills and it, like, feels prickly?
I don't shave my legs.
Oh, yeah,
so
you don't shave your legs. Can you imagine
I can.
how...
I'm imagining it. So you want to talk about the IRA for a little bit?
Okay.
So the IRA is the Irish Republican Army.
Yes.
And at the time, I think this movie was, a lot of it was being shot in London,
Mm-hmm.
where the IRA was bombing a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So the producer, his name, as I said, was Mace Newfield. He was staying at a hotel, and one day he's getting ready. He goes to leave to go to set. Basically, minutes after he leaves that hotel, it's bombed.
Okay, so I read that it was the director, Richard Donner, that was staying there. But yeah, same. That
Maybe it was both of them.
I mean, probably. It would make sense
Yeah,
that,
right?
like, multiple...
But not only was the hotel that they were staying at bombed.
Right. Also, the restaurant where they had dinner reservations was bombed.
Bombed as they were on their way to
Yeah.
it, though, too.
Yeah.
Not just
Like,
like,
en route.
Yeah, they were en route.
Not like, we've got
almost there.
reservations next Tuesday. Yeah.
So that's fucking nuts. There was there's an infamous decapitation scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And in this movie, it's done by a special effects artist. His name is John Richardson,
Mm-hmm.
who during post-production got into a car accident.
Yes. With his assistant, Liz Moore. And apparently, in this accident,
Which was a head-on collision.
as a head-on collision, Liz Moore was sliced in half, and it was like eerily similar to how Richardson created the scene for one of the characters to die in the movie.
Yeah, and she was sliced in half, but like she was beheaded. Her head was not
On her
part
body.
of her body.
Yeah.
This car accident, where this woman was beheaded, just like the scene in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
happened next to a Dutch town named Omen.
With 2 M's.
With 2 M's, not...
But still.
But still, a Dutch town named Omen, which
And-
was how many kilometers away?
66.6 kilometers.
Boom. Out. Done.
Done with that.
That, out of
If I had a
everything-
mic, I'd drop it.
out of everything we've talked about, that's the main one that I'm like, that shit was cursed.
Yes,
There
it
is no
was.
way that you made this scene where somebody gets decapitated and then you're driving home post-production and your passenger gets decapitated right next to a place that's named your movie
Mm-hmm.
and is 66.6 kilometers away. It doesn't happen. That
Doesn't
is
happen.
not a coincidence.
Also happened on Friday the 13th.
I did not read that.
Yes.
So,
Just like the cherry on top.
and I wrote here at the bottom, during the reboot, no curses happened during the reboot. The devil was like, this movie sucks.
I
I'm not
outdid
gonna-"
myself on the first one.
And he's like, they all know. And yeah, that is the fucking Omen. Do you have anything else on the
No,
Omen?
I think that's everything that I had.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like I was saying earlier, I am always kind of like, no, like it's probably just the wind blowing a weird way.
Or a pigeon
like,
going into an
yeah,
electrical box.
It's cold pipes that are making that sound. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, this definitely, like you said, like there's just
It's
no writing
too
that
much.
off.
That's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
No way. That was good stuff. I really enjoyed researching this one.
This one was, I mean, it was still like shitty to read about crappy stuff happening to people, but it was still like lighter fare than last week for sure.
No, it was definitely fun, and it really made me want to go back and watch all the cult classics.
Totally.
So
totally.
I really think we should do that this week if we ever have time.
Yeah. We've been busy.
Between researching podcast stuff and me going back to school and...
Yeah, that's super exciting. Jesse's going to be going to EMT school.
I'm going to be a paramedic one day, and then I'll be on this podcast saying all the weird stories about people that I have to take care of. I don't know. Can I talk about those stories?
I guess as long as you don't, like, disclose any actual personal information.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look up, like, the legality of that, because even if I, like, change the name, but it's close enough that someone would be like, oh, I know this person that just was in...
like, don't use a name.
Don't use a name at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm not a
There's still some time.
medical professional.
Medical professionals, if you're listening, let us know at unusualinsightpodcast@gmail.com.
What's the code?
What code? What are you talking about?
Oh, I mean the code, like the moral code.
Oh, okay. I was like, 865. 8675309.
Jenny, I got your number.
All right, guys, we
cutting
ended
it.
up recording really late tonight. We record on Sundays, and we usually do it earlier. We're busy this Sunday, so it's probably like 11 o'clock right now.
I don't even know.
So we're going to cut this ending a little short since the episode itself was a little long. But if you liked this episode, please rate, review, subscribe. I know I say it every time, but it's like literally making us so happy. I check our host site all the time to see where it's been downloaded and who's listening and see what comments we have or see how many people have listened on YouTube. And every time there's a new listen, like if I'm not in front of Ashley, I call her immediately and I'm giddy and just like, oh my God, we got to listen over here. Oh, there's 3 people over here now. So
Yeah.
just want you to know it really means a lot to us. And it
does.
makes my day to see even some days where there's not that many listens. I'm just like, we still had people listen to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you like it, let us know. If you have any ideas for future episodes, let us know. At this point, we usually say what we're going to do next episode, but we actually haven't discussed that because we've been so busy. So follow us on Facebook. We'll make a post there about what our next episode's going to be.
Yeah. Unless you want to just like pick a random thing.
No, I want to talk about it.
Okay.
I can't be put on the spot like that.
Okay.
All right, it'll be on Facebook. Just remember, everybody, it is a strange, strange fucking world out there.
Don't be usual.